Today, in our effort to personalize inclusion, we will tackle a topic that we can all relate with: age.
Now that we work and live in multi-generational spaces, we have to ask the question: can Gen Zs, Millennials, Gen Xers, and Boomers really get along? Today, we have a very unique session for you.
Our panelists themselves will ask each other questions. What's confusing, amusing, or maybe even annoying about the other generation? Today is the day that we will talk about all of these. In 2019, Harris Poll on behalf of Lego conducted a survey of 3,000 kids aged 8 to 12. In the US, the top career choice was vlogging or YouTubing or social influencing. So these are jobs that are fairly new and also do not have guaranteed paychecks, unlike corporate work, for example. So given this, our first category is stability versus passion.
Okay, because I feel that it's really coming from me, coming out of corporate, out of stability, to pursue a passion for now, which is, diba, like what I do, coaching, right? So my question to the generation is, what's your advice, or even as parents, how can you help us find the balance there? Pursuing what we want and being stable financially.
If I may start, Rhea, I talk to my children too about this, no? And I sometimes ask them, okay, because I think they are pursuing their passion, I sometimes ask them about the future, how they see it, no? How they answer is they say, just trust us, we can take care of ourselves, no? So that's something that I hold very dearly, really. And maybe when I get that pushback, I start thinking that maybe I should stop being like a parent, because they are not children anymore. No, maybe I can just let life and faith take its course. So Vjohn, no, and the rest of you, I think you strike me as very intelligent people, no, and I'd like to believe that you will be able to have a very clear perception of life, of your ambitions, and of reality, and you will be able to discover that mix eventually. So, but I would say always seek guidance naman from those who have experience, but you may or may not follow the guidance. At the end of the day, okay, it is your call. So yeah, be authentic, I think, but stay tuned to reality.
Thank you, po. Thank you.
We know that a person would have had 3 or maybe even more jobs by the time they reach their 30s. This is something that LinkedIn showed in one of their studies. So the second category is loyalty to company.
I think the basic question is, because for my parents worked in the same company for 25 years. They met there, they got married there. So is it true that if you're loyal to a company, your rising up the corporate ladder is secured?
Ako, my personal experience, no, tenure does not guarantee you career advancement. Your performance, your potential would be important to look into, but tenure alone doesn't guarantee you.
Thank
I
you po.
actually just wanted that. I think that was a really great question to ask Vjohn, because I fear that, no. So I mean, currently I've only had less than a year of work here in Positive Workplaces, but and my boss knows this. Di naman to surprise for him, but I do plan to move to a bigger company, sometime in my life, and I think that's one of the things I fear the most. Like, how can I guarantee my growth for that? Because I'm not like most Gen Zs. No, ayoko mag-corporate. I want to pursue my passion. Like, I would love to go corporate. I'd love to be a part of a big company who I can grow with and who can support me. But I've heard, horror stories from older friends of mine, millennials, who'd say na, I've been in this company for 7 years and I had not been promoted. And I know these people. These are great leaders of their generations, and it just scares me. Na I think to compare myself, like I don't even think I'm as good or as good as this person, but why is this person not getting promoted?
First of all, I really like that you are looking for a bigger company. So if any one of you is looking for a bigger company, and even if you're not looking right now, no, I am in LinkedIn, so I'll be happy to be part of your network. No? Nag-advertise pa, no? But
I-add ko po kayo.
Yes, I don't have
please,
you.
but on the other hand, like what I want to say is like I want to ask you, what's your idea of a promotion? Can you describe that now? Or how do you see promotions?
Well, I definitely don't see it that's it's achievable in a quick or in a short span of time. I think that's one of the stereotypes also that Gen Z will have. They're very impatient. I even did my own personal research on this. My mom had the same position for 6 years until she finally got promoted. My dad was in much shorter, 4 years. And then when they got to the middle level, that's when they started rising up very quickly. So I think my idea of promotion is, I think, just really being given an opportunity to showcase my skills further, and to show whoever my supervisor or boss would be at that time period, that I can do more. I think my fear comes from not that they won't promote me because they don't think I'm good enough, but rather that they won't promote me because the opportunity is not there. There's no space for a promotion. That's where my fear comes from.
That's great. So yeah, I like people like you, honestly, So promotions, if we define it as an upward career movement, the space may be too crowded, no? But if you look at promotions as a matter of developing skills and doing meaningful work, for which the company will surely reward you. And that is our assignment, no? To be able to really catch people doing the right things and the effective things, and to help them become pivotal performers in the organization. No? That is our job, to reward that. But it's not always really upward promotion. Some multinationals would say this may take the form, for example, of moving across geographies, okay, or working with very varied types of bosses to give you that experience. So if that is what promotion means, that is not a crowded space. But I have to admit, there is plenty of work that we need to do to also transform the way line managers think. Okay, but such dialogue, I think, is very enlightening, because then I am beginning to see really that our thoughts converge rather than oppose.
From 2020 to 2021, our firm, ECC, conducted a study on the future of work, where Filipinos aged 21 to 30 said that empowered personalization matters to them, meaning they want jobs that are flexible and won't rob them of a life. So given this, our next category is work-life balance. Ayan.
Because I was also wanted to share that we're currently doing a well-being study. And during the pandemic, there's a lot of opportunity to heighten awareness of what is important to people. And we saw the trend that achieving the work-life balance is not a matter of time spent in the office. It's not about having a 9 to 5, but having the opportunity to make a choice on how how I will work, where I will work, so that I can spend the time that I want to spend on the things that are important to me. So it could be family, it could be physical health, it could also be your own growth in the organization. If there are themes around well-being, it's around flexibility, autonomy. It's about addressing unique individual needs of people, extending to the family, and us being Filipinos, we have extended families at home. The needs to support them is very different. And it's good to know that there are companies who are responding and ev- trying to evolve themselves on how they can respond to help employees achieve that balance.
Yeah. And I love how Rhea is pointing out the need to personalize when it comes to those conversations about work-life balance, right? So speaking of personalizing, one of the big concerns, if you will, or topics that come out of work-life balance is mental health, right? I'd want to get Vien's perspective actually, because one of the stereotypes we hear is that the younger generations, konting problema lang, give up na. What's your take on that, Vian? Like, why is it important to talk about mental health and to pay attention to it now, even if before in the previous generations that wasn't something that they would talk about a lot? So why now?
Kasi it is hard to feel left behind, di ba? So, yung mental health kasi, it is very important and it is not true na yung mga generation namin na konting problema lang, give up agad. Siguro, yun lang yung napapansin ng mga elders kasi yun lang yung nakikita nila. Pero they didn't have a time to know kung ano ba yung pinanguhugutan, kung bakit sumusuko agad. Kasi in our generation kasi, we are called as emotional generation. So sa generation namin, mas naging open na when it comes to psychological problem or etc. So hindi totoo for me na bumibigay kami agad. Pero sa generation din kasi namin, it is hard for us to speak kasi we are scared to be judged by other people. So, it is important din na magbigay tayo ng attention dito kasi, ayun nga, we are scared. So, kapag alam namin na may taong nandyan for us, sasabihin din naman namin yun, tatakot na i-open up yung nararamdaman namin.
In the context of leaders, managers responding to employees or and this came out in my conversations in coaching and in our current clients. And one manager said, sometimes it's hard to put a face and be brave in front of your team when in fact you yourself, you have your own personal, kasi pare-pareho tayong dumaan ng pandemya. And we all experience the same difficulty. But the challenge for managers or leaders, especially the first time, diba? First time mo lang maging leader, pandemya pa. So, but I also see that one of the trends that we saw when it comes to management, more senior leaders became more visible and really reached out to employees to understand. But it's not an overnight thing. So maybe just to find comfort and consolation that your managers, your supervisors are trying to do their best to listen at the very least, but also they are also humans. They also have their own mental health challenges. So something to think about, that it's not that they lack empathy. The intent is there to help and to listen.
In Deloitte's 2022 annual global survey for Gen Zs and millennials, they found that 2 out of 5 of their 14,808 respondents, they said that they have rejected a job because of personal ethics. And so what we know is the younger generations, they want their companies to take a stand on environmental and social issues. In other words, it's all about being woke. Being woke is about being active and being vocal on issues like social justice, political issues, and environmental issues.
My question to the younger generation is like, what are your expectations from a company in terms of social responsibility? What do you want to see them do more?
So actually, as a young leader po, no, I want a company who is gender friendly. I just want to make it simple po. When I work, I want a company who is gender friendly, no discrimination. That's why I want to ask this question po, no. Would you still give your loyalty to a company who is not gender friendly but giving you good salary?
This is me personally. I'd love to be in line, like my values are in line with the company that I'm a part of.
I have a question. So like, if a company values and drives respect for self, for others, for the environment, and for the future, um, isn't that enough? Do we need to drill down on things like gender, on things like race, on things like nationality, for example? No, isn't respect an all-encompassing ideal? So my question is, at the end of the day, uh, which is a more equitable approach? No? Thinking about this, and I would maybe say maybe respect is really the more fundamental, but that's a question I'd like to throw to the younger generation, and maybe even Rhea, no, can
Okay.
I would agree, no. I would agree to that respect. But I would say, and I think that's where diversity and inclusivity, which I feel actually something new, something that actually we have to give more focus now on, that it's new. Parang respect has been there for the longest time, and of course that's already should have been a given. But given that things are evolving, diversity, inclusivity should be more given attention to now as the new frame of thought.
I think the conversations on diversity and inclusion and then respect, um I agree with June that respect is core to any culture. Without that, DNI will not be possible. But I think the challenge is, how do you demonstrate it on a daily practice? And respect is a demonstration, can be demonstrated through how you um operationalize or demonstrate diversity and inclusion, creating equitable and equal opportunities for all. So the DNI metrics, I guess, as a structure, allows that to be demonstrated in the culture. I think the more important thing to demonstrate is respect. It's just that the DNI becomes it's I would say a more structured or obvious way to operationalize it.
And I think it's more of acknowledging that there have been biases before and there have been norms that are outdated now. And kaya rin may specific attention given to people who have been marginalized and who haven't been historically given as many opportunities as other groups of people.
So throwing it back to you, Dad, like given the different answers, does that help kind of clarify that perspective?
Yes, and I was thinking that this might even be a moment of conversion for me.
Yeah, it's so hard, right? Like that's why I asked the question, because I think, especially for leaders, even just creating an environment of respect is already a hard thing to do, right? Like that's a challenge for all leaders from any generation. And then you put in the layer of gender inclusion, disability awareness, etc., all of these diversity and inclusion aspects, and it makes it even harder. So I think what we're seeing here is there are multiple truths that we need to be able to hold in our heads. I guess if I were advising a client on this, I'll say, leader, yes, keep on working on respect. That's great. And if there's nothing else you'll do, focus on that and that respect, because I think that's core to everything. And then you also want to start saying, the other truth we need to hold is there are historically marginalized communities that we need to start bringing up so we can be at an equitable level with all of the other groups in the population. And so it's also about correcting those past mistakes that we as a society have unfortunately made. So when it comes to this conversation, here's what I hope everyone will take away. There are no right or wrong answers, right? Like respect is great, but that doesn't mean that respect is the only thing we need and we don't need all of the other things. Having a focus on gender and environment and mental health and whatnot is great, but also we can't expect our companies to just this fast switch and say that we'll focus on this as well without having that foundation of respect. So I think, like, as any person in any generation, it's all of our responsibility to hold these truths at the same time and be able to come at a point where we say, okay, let me know where you're coming from. I'll let you know where I'm coming from. let's talk.